No, they can see you, but just in the little corner on the screen. Okay. Hey, everybody. So if you're familiar with the show, we just BS for about 10 minutes, give everybody a chance to share the video, and then we start the official discussion when I remove all the logos and things like that. So anybody who wants to just talk and say something interesting while I start sharing these videos, and then I'll try to pick up some of the slack once I do my part.
Something interesting just popped up on my news feed on Facebook. Taller people face higher risk of catching COVID-19.
Is there any legitimacy to that?
I don't know.
Is that what happened to me?
Popped up. It's a New York Post. Let me see who they're quoting. A professor at the University of Manchester, but it's based on a survey. So I don't know.
Oh, it's supposed to be serious. I thought that for sure they were joking around about that.
It's a real. I give up.
Okay. That's what medical science has come to, huh?
Yeah.
Hello, Rashida. Hello, Lynn. I see y'all. You don't see me, but I see y'all.
University of Manchester.
Yeah.
But it's based on a survey. So I don't know.
Oh, it's supposed to be serious. I thought that for sure they were joking around about that.
Okay, so I have the I have everybody tagged in the video. If you want to go ahead and go and share it.
Rashida, hello, Lynn. I see you.
Okay, that's interesting. It's a few seconds lag.
It's gonna be. That's the only way we can do it. It's so you'll just want to turn the sound off from the actual video and just watch from the program.
Okay.
So let's see. Last time when I was trying to kill time, I think
lag.
It's gonna be. That's the only way we can do it. Who we got? So you'll just want to turn the sound off from the actual video. So, it says this is episode 9. What does it say?
Episode 9.
It says episode 9 in the description. What Nia said, did I get the title wrong?
Lag.
It's gonna be. That's the only way. So you'll just want to turn the sound off from the actual. Well, if I got the title wrong, I'll fix it I'll fix it later. I can't fix it now while we're on the air. Oh, it says episode 8. I did. Yeah, I'll fix that. Let's see if I. Yeah, it's episode 9. Okay, so while we're waiting for everybody to get here, I think last week I asked what everybody had for breakfast. We'll move forward a meal. What did everybody have for lunch today?
A salad and some vegetable soup because I'm on a fast.
Oh, you did say you were starting is it a diet or a fast?
It's a Sacred Heart diet. It's a diet and a fast. It's 7 days long. You make this vegetable soup and you eat it every day combined with other things. Today is day 2. I can have the soup all day and other vegetables, which sucks because it's Taco Tuesday. And I did salmon and chicken tacos for my family.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in?
Well, I had Chick-fil-A for lunch. Nothing fancy.
I recently discovered that their Cobb salad with the avocado ranch dressing might be one of my favorite salads.
That's a good dressing.
Every time I bring it up on Facebook, though, I get killed by people who say I shouldn't be eating at Chick-fil-A. So we'll cover that in a future episode.
Political views of the CEO.
Right.
No.
So
my stomach like get over it.
What'd you say, Michael?
I just don't like Chick-fil-A that much. I just don't care for it. That's all.
It was something to grab. I was traveling, and so.
Oh, I understand. I'm not. Yeah. I'm just saying. I mean, there's plenty of reasons, if you want to be on the battlefield about it. But what I'm realizing is that I most of these companies who are pulling off these performative, measures, saying, "Oh, now we're not gonna," all the rhetoric, all the lip service, and really not doing nothing. like they're all basically the same. I mean, if they were doing wrong before, they're trying to not do wrong now because they're getting called on. They're getting called on it. So you may as well just use your dollars, for what you really want.
Me and my dad used to get into an argument because he would refuse to support any businesses that that supported any Scott Walker, Trump, or any big time Republicans. So he did all his shopping at this little hardware store that's like a half a mile from my parents' house. That's the only place he would shop because Walmart was Trump donors and Home Depot was Trump donors and Menards was Trump donors. And I said, Dad, I love Dorn Hardware, but how do you know they're not Trump donors? And he didn't know. He had no justification. He just knew the other ones were, so he was gonna, And I definitely agree with my whole thing about it is I try whenever possible to support smaller and local businesses and Black-owned businesses. Mm-hmm. And even if I have to support a chain, then I try to pick chains that take better care of their workers. In that example, I picked Menards over Home Depot because they're a Wisconsin-based chain, so it keeps technically it's a local business. But yeah, I think we should definitely do an episode on how to protest with your dollars. I actually have the. Go ahead, Michael.
Gotcha. The problem for me right now is that until my people get on the same page about it, it's this sort of random, event that transpires and it goes away. I say this every week on the show for some reason. The Montgomery bus boycott, 381 days. Like I was down with Blackout Tuesday. I went with it. I did exactly. I followed the bylaws and everything. That's one day. We can't commit to a day a week, 3 days a week. I don't know. How bad do we want it? People want everything right now these days, and this is one of those things that's going to take time and commitment. It's hard to say what. If you're going to make a move, it should be a big one. I guess is my opinion about it.
Let me just while we're still waiting and playing around, let me play around with a few of these different. I wonder if I do this one, can I then put it on the person that's talking? How would I? Is there a way to do that? No, I can make her solo, but how do I change who gets in the big square?
I don't think that because you're the moderator, I don't think that happens.
Uh-oh. I think I accidentally
you're playing around. We mess with you.
That's what I get for
you're messing around with swords with powers you can't control.
Okay. Well, I think we're about ready to start the discussion. What do you guys think? It's a few minutes before 7:05. You guys good to get started for real?
Yeah, get that thing off of here and let's get started.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Title's Incorrect. This is episode 9. I'll take the blame for that. That's what I get for trying to copy and paste of Music Politics and the show where myself and esteemed drummer Michael Bland. Which side of me is he on? He's down.
He's not active to you.
You're covered.
There he is. There he is, right there.
Yeah, like
me
that.
and Michael find people that we want to talk to about issues that we think are important, which brings me the perfect segue to introduce my co-host. He is in the bottom right square of Hollywood Squares here.
Win.
World's best drummer on the planet by Matty Modern Drum Magazines and Dave Perner. And not only is he a great drummer, he's an even better friend. I was just thinking earlier, if I'm having a bad day, Michael and I, we chat like via like video chat or something like that, maybe once or twice a week. And if I'm having a bad day, I'm usually laughing by the time I hang up with him. He's a great friend, great person, one of the smartest people I know, and a famous musician. That's the whole package, right, Michael?
I don't even know how to. I can't live up to all that, man. What are you trying to do to me?
So, well, introduce your co-host.
Yeah, all right. He hails from Madison, Wisconsin. Not scared of black people.
Okay, that's a good one.
His heart. What hasn't been said about Dan Spiffy Neuman that that I can offer right now, except for I feel the same way about you, man. You're a brilliant musician. You are a real friend. I worried about you, man. I was praying for you while you had that COVID now, because I thought we were going to lose you for a while. Like, if he survives, we're going to have to call him half dead Neuman from now on.
Well, it's either that or not scared of black people. So,
yeah, not
those are
people.
Those are the current taglines.
Good or bad. But,
so,
hey, man, happy to have you still white, still breathing. All right, brother.
So, I told you, Nickie, this is going to be a good time. I told you you'd fit right in, which brings me a perfect opportunity to introduce one of our guests. And I did it. Look, on the first try, I figured out where to point. So,
you get it, man. Yeah.
Speaking of friends, this has been a friend of mine for what, 10? How old is your son?
10. He'll be 10 in November.
So, a friend of mine for 10 years. And the only reason I remember that is she was pregnant when I met her. And she is a doctor. She is a TV personality. She is an educator. What else do? Well, you can tell us in a second. She does many things. She's a fun person. She's a brilliant person. Also, since Michael brought up my hospitalization, and I was going to bring it up anyway, she was one of the doctors that I consulted as a friend, when I was in the hospital and leaving the hospital, in terms of, hey, are they treating me right? Is this the right information? I trust you. So she's actually, I think, the only doctor besides those that treated me in the hospital that has seen my full COVID medical records.
All right.
So maybe we'll get into that today. I don't know. Dr. Nickie, and can you please introduce our other guest?
Okay. Hello, I am Dr. Nickie. I'm very happy to be here today. I think we're going to talk about some great things. Like Dan said, I am a woman with very many titles. By trade, I am a surgical podiatrist. I am also an educator. I work for, I guess I should just say, a major university in New Orleans, without being too specific.
You want to name no names?
You can say whatever you want to. We're not fact checking.
Okay. No, we got to see how this goes today, just in case.
Oh.
Right.
All right.
Michael,
And I
get you in trouble.
also have my own nonprofit. I have a 501c3. And I am very happy to introduce my friend from all of my life. How does that happen? We share the same birth date, same month, same day, same year. Our mothers gave birth in the hospital at the same time. We went to elementary school together, which is where we officially met. And we both ended up down here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast working and pursuing our career goals. She is currently an administrative educator, and I'll let her tell you what her newest position is. But I'm very happy to introduce my friend, Dr. Shanta Rhodes.
It's harder than it looks, isn't it?
Hello, everybody, and I'm glad to be here. As Nickie stated, I am Shanta Rhodes, and I am an educator. I have been doing it for over 18 years. I started as a teacher and worked my way up to administration, and I am currently the assistant superintendent for a school district. And so I kind of know firsthand about what it's like to attempt to reopen schools during this pandemic. So I'm looking forward to having a good discussion.
What was that the sound of the alarm? Is that what can we get off into it?
We can get off into it. Absolutely, Michael.
Well, I mean, Dr. Shan, what I want to know is whether you agree that's a crazy notion, yes? To reopen schools in such a are you allowed to use such colorful language, or do you have to stay? Tell me your thoughts.
Okay, so personally, I do think it's crazy to reopen schools with the numbers rising. However, I guess, understand the need for us to get back to some normalcy. And so even though I'm in public education, we are governed by Department of Education, our local Department of Education, and of course the government. So we have to reopen schools. They don't really tell us how to do it. They just gave us guidance on what we could do. And of course, everybody nationwide is probably looking at doing virtual or hybrid, or just saying, forget it, we're going back traditional. So that's what we're left with. And each district had to put together what they would want to do based on their district. And it's a very difficult decision to make. Very difficult.
I see.
But personally, maybe we should not go back, but I'm in a position that I have to go back. I'm still working, actually, so never stop.
Is there like a skeleton staff on, or is it full bore?
It just depends on the decision. Like, for instance, my school district, we decided to do it in phases. And I actually presented it to the board meeting last week, our school reopening plan. So for the first term, the first 9 weeks, we decided to just go all virtual because the numbers are steadily rising. So the students will, of course, learn from home. Now, we have the issue that, of course, and believe it or not all students or homes have internet access. So you're battling that when you're talking about doing virtual learning. And so we're faced with that as a school district. And I know many other school districts are faced with that same dilemma. And the other thing, my district is not what you call one-to-one with devices. That means every student does not have a device. We're working towards that. And of course, there's some funding for that, but we are not one-to-one. So now it goes, who gets the device? And then what are you going to do for those students who don't have internet? Because they still have to get a free and appropriate education. So we're faced with that and solving all of those issues and working it out so that every student will still get an education, whether it's virtually or through a learning packet. And then we want to phase into hybrid after first term. That was the plan we had. And then our third phase will maybe go back all the way traditional. Now, of course, this is all based on the numbers and what's happening with COVID or even government mandates. So we have a plan in place. We'll just see what happens, because next week we may push back going to school until after Labor Day. Right now, we're coming back to school August 10th. So.
Oh, wow. Y'all start early down there.
Yeah.
My son starts next Thursday.
Wow.
Is he learning from home, or is he have to go physically go to school, or what's it like?
I'm waiting on a personal email return from his principal. My son is in a small private school here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and they just hired a brand new principal. So imagine becoming the principal of a new school at a time like this. When she initially sent the email out to parents last week, she said, "Hi, everything's going to be fine. We're coming back full-fledged. Everybody's coming back. No virtual. Everything is going to be fine." So apparently, within the next 20 minutes, every parent at the school must have emailed her, because we got another message saying, "Hey, we're going to meet with the school board and we're going to try to figure something out. Don't worry, we have your child's best interest, at heart." So the very last communication we received, I think 2 days ago, no, 2 days ago was Sunday, so it was yesterday. They said that we can return to school if we like, but the virtual option is available and you have to schedule it with the principal. If you choose to do virtual, you have to remain for the whole semester. So say like I enroll my son virtually, and at the beginning of September, the numbers are wonderful. I can't stick them in school then. I have to wait until the first semester is over with and continue to go virtually. Here on the Gulf Coast, both in Louisiana and Mississippi, several different schools have adopted different programs. For instance, the largest school system here on the Gulf Coast is in Harrison County, and they have decided to go virtual for the first half of the year. Some parents are happy about it, some aren't.
Mm-hmm.
In New Orleans, they have postponed school into after Labor Day. They felt like the numbers may show a difference by Labor Day, and perhaps they can come back full-fledged or whatever. But of course, Mayor Cantrell is watching things very closely because New Orleans has been a hot spot for a very long time.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if I had my personal choice, which is what I'm waiting from the response from the principal, I would like for my son to do the hybrid program, which they are doing, I believe, for Canton Public Schools. It's a little further north, is north of Jackson. And a group of students will come Monday and Wednesday. Another group of students would come Tuesday and Thursday. And I guess Friday, everybody's virtual. Now, I personally think that would be the best option for my son. And I did ask, was that an option? But I haven't gotten a response as of yet.
I see.
So let me ask you a question. So I think both you and Shan mentioned that some places are waiting until after Labor Day to see how the numbers progress. As a medical professional, do you think the numbers are gonna be significantly better or worse in that period of time? I mean, what does it look like it's trending, you know, from your area of expertise?
Okay. In the state of Louisiana, there's a mandatory mask mandate. Here in Mississippi, it's only for certain counties. Until people start controlling what they're doing, you know, their surroundings, social distancing, things like that, I don't see the numbers getting much better. Perhaps plateauing, but not just, you know, dropping off. I go into all of the newsroom chats and things like that, and most people who choose not to wear masks, they're choosing not to wear them, not because of medical conditions, but because it's their right. Their rights are being imposed on. And as long as people feel that way, I don't feel we can get numbers under control. I personally, I wear a mask. I've been wearing a mask. I wear it in public. I wear it when I am like going through a drive-through per se, and constantly sanitizing. I have tested twice for COVID and I've been negative both times. I do see patients though on a smaller scale, and some of them, you know, are COVID survivors. And, you know, like I said, I mask up.
You wear a mask at the drive-through? That's the first I've ever heard of that.
Well, for example, Chick-fil-A, you're not necessarily ordering through a window. They got
the person standing outside.
Yeah.
I should start doing that because I always have it off in the car, but I should start putting it on, I guess, when there's somebody, because yeah, Chick-fil-A does that, Portillo's, a few other places, they got the people that come right up to your window.
Yeah.
I've been out the house twice. And it was just last week. Or actually it was last week and this week. And anybody coming within, if you're coming closer than 6 feet, if I see you walking in my direction, what you need, man? Really, I'm not playing around. So we don't know everything there is to know about this virus.
Absolutely not.
They changed the script 3 or 4 times, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we want to address Charles Hayes' question here?
I was debating whether or not to throw it up there. It's a little. We can. Sure.
While we're on it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, it says, what would a sketch of the future look like to you if we left the traditional K-12? I believe if we left the traditional K-12 model behind, we would probably see a lot of job loss first. No matter what, you will still need teachers, but what about the paraprofessionals, bus drivers, school lunch workers, even your electives or your PE or your band, your
athletes,
require all of that. Yeah. What would that look like? You know, how would school look? So it would definitely be different. And, you know, perhaps even for future for me, maybe we may not need as many administrators. But I definitely think teachers would still, there would still be a need for teachers. Someone would have to lead, I guess, the new way of educating, whether it's virtual or hybrid or a hybrid model.
Can you, so this is the first I've ever seen anything like that. Can you explain what that means? Like leaving the K-12 model behind?
What that means, well, because traditional, it's like brick and mortar schools. You go to school, you know, within the classroom setting, you have the teacher standing at the board teaching in a traditional sense. And now we have these options, whether it is, of course, virtual, which, you know, a lot of colleges have been doing online programs. A lot of us, you know, have gotten advanced degrees through those options. So it's not new, but it, you know, it may be a little new for the K-12 setting. And then we have what you call the hybrid model, where you get a little bit of both. You have traditional, where you go into school for a couple of days a week, and then you work remotely at home for a couple of days a week. So that's what he means by the traditional K-12 model.
Okay. They're changing the grade system.
Right, that's what I thought it meant at first.
He's just like what she's saying is that it looks like unemployment for a lot of people.
It would definitely be different. Yes.
How many people are just rendered in obsolescence? I guess not as people, but like, these jobs would just go and never come back.
And we'd have to, I mean, not just the jobs, but in terms of the impact that has on the kids as well. Middle and high school music teachers were very impactful for me. I don't know. I'm assuming for you too, Michael. I think your high school band teacher has watched our show a couple times.
He's probably watching right now. Hi, Dr. Malmberg, Mr. Malmberg. My life would be a completely different story without him. I love that man to death. Yeah.
I think all of us have a story about at least, you know, one teacher that made a huge impact on our lives that wouldn't, you know, sometimes in some cases, teachers are more influential than parents in terms of, you know, just being a specific type of role model or a specific type of guidance. And I don't know how you could get that through a purely virtual learning experience.
And even the social development of the younger children, they need that social interaction with other students or boys and girls. That's why I can understand why Dr. Nickie wants her son to do hybrid. They've, you know, and I'll say this before I, you know, get beat up in the comments. It's really, it's the, I know the students are ready to come back. I'm sure most students are. They have been out since March. So here we are, almost August, and they've been out. It's only so much of, you know, hanging around the house you can do. They like that normalcy. We know that. But I will say this, it's really up to the parents. You know, you're your child's first teacher. You're your child's nurturer. Whatever decision you make about your school, the school option for your child, it's, to me, be okay with the decision. No one has to say anything about it. So whether you want your child to go back traditionally, virtual, or hybrid, it's your decision and is what's best for you and your family. I will say that.
Nobody's running for office.
Hey,
listen, I know I don't look like it, but I can think quick on my feet, and diplomacy is important. I understand. You have a responsibility. Your peers are watching you. You want to talk you into saying something you want to take back or want to boycott our show about later on.
So
Aaron, I appreciate that, Dr. Shan. I hear you.
I just had to put that, but I do feel like students, I believe they're ready to get back to, you know, we may not be quite ready as far as the COVID numbers, but I can't imagine what this is doing to them, you know, not being able to interact with friends like they do on a day-to-day basis at school.
Yeah.
I want to remind me to put Aaron's question up in a bit because I think it's really good. But before we go there, I had a question for both of you. Basically, so for Dr. Shan, the first question is, so how long can we keep up the hybrid or the learning from home before it starts to have a developmental impact on kids? And then more for Dr. Nickie, what are the health risks for going back partially or fully now? So, and go.
Well, I don't know of a time frame of when it will impact students. I think most school districts, that we know the emotional toll that it is taking, so they are planning to have some type of social emotional learning plan in place for our students so that they can have that outlet. So it just won't be all academics, math, reading, writing. They'll get some social emotional courses as well. I don't have a time frame because each student is different. It just depends on really their home life, their home situation. Nickie's son could be just fine because she's probably going to, keep him occupied with doing things, have him with some type of social activity that she could do during this pandemic. Whereas another student, mom and dad maybe work all the time, or maybe a single mom, big brother or sister may be watching them. So it's just different dynamics. We can really get deep with this education things and students. So there's no time frame, but as educators, we try to do our best to educate as well as help with their mental health.
Sure.
As far as physical health, I think that, and somebody posted a question too, why aren't people listening to public officers? I think people who need to get back to work are trying to get back to work, and in order to do that, they have to send their kids to school.
All right.
Because all these studies have come out about, kids don't get it as much, this, and that people are thinking it's okay. But to put things into perspective, as of 5 p.m. this afternoon, there were 31,000 kids in the U.S. that had been diagnosed with COVID. Of those, 75 have died. In the realm of things, it doesn't look like a lot, but those 75 kids all had parents. And so those parents are feeling the impact. No one understands that once you go back to school, well, I'm not going to say no one understands. Some people don't understand that when you go back to school, we're actually going to be in a territory that we have not explored yet. Okay, yes, children will be there. Some people can socially distance, some people can't. My son is in private school. His classes are smaller. They may be 10 feet apart. But if you have an overcrowded public school, that may not happen. A lot of kids are asymptomatic. Okay, some people are saying, well, if they're asymptomatic or if it doesn't affect them as bad, they'll be there, they'll recover in a few days, whatever. But once they leave school, they go home to their parents and they go home to their grandparents. These are things that have not been studied yet. I have a few articles I can post once I figure it out, but the CDC is saying that the kids have a very low chance of contracting the virus. If they do contract the virus, most kids have small symptoms or minimal symptoms and they recover within a day or two. The testing that has not been done is, are kids transmitting the disease to their parents, to their grandparents? And because that is not being explored, that's why a lot of people are like, send them back to school, whatever. So this is kind of like uncharted territory. Something to kind of put it in perspective as well. Okay, we were on lockdown for X amount of weeks, X amount of months. When it was time to reopen our states, we were like, okay, everybody's going to behave. They're going to do what they're going to do. I mean, they're going to behave correctly. Time the states open up, people are at the beach, they're at the bar, and places that had plateaued are now going up again. No one knew that was going to happen, but it happened. So the same way with the schools. We haven't tried it yet. So we don't know if all the schools have things in place to keep our children safe. That's why I prefer the hybrid program. So hypothetically, if my son's class has 20 in it, 10 will go to school, on Monday and Wednesday. 10 would go to school on Tuesday and Thursday. That keeps them separated, socially distanced. The teacher
down, yeah.
One. That's why I'm in favor of hybrid. But that's my personal preference.
Sure.
And that's actually what I was leaning towards. Me and some of the other district leaders in my district, as we were working on our reopening plan, I was leaning towards hybrid first, but those numbers just kept creeping up. And so we had to go and say, okay, better do virtual, because we probably would have had, an uproar, a lot of people upset. So I think that was the best decision that we made. We'll just, go virtual and then just watch it every day and see if we can move to the next phase.
So you said something, Nickie, that I didn't realize. You talked about studying whether or not kids that are asymptomatic can transfer to adults. Is there any reason to believe that they wouldn't? I just been operating under the assumption that anybody can get it.
Anybody can get it from anybody. Right.
Yeah. Is there any reason why a kid wouldn't be able to transfer it to a parent or teacher?
No, there is no reason. There are just no studies on it yet. We've been focusing on adults 18 and older. We've been focusing on people with pre-existing conditions. We've been focusing on the nursing home population. No one has been focusing on kids.
So maybe I guess it's a good time to throw Aaron's question up there. And whoever wants to go first. Pretty dark question, but it's valid.
I mean, so let the educated people speak first.
No, unfortunately, I believe it is going to take an outbreak at a school, and God forbid a cluster of deaths for people to finally say, hey, we need to do something. We need to start from scratch. Let's pull our kids out of school. I don't think they're just going to accept it. And unlike mass shootings, this is something that we can prepare for. You never know when somebody's going to show up to an event with a gun.
Right.
Anybody?
You have an opinion?
I agree with Nickie. Is going to take, an outbreak in a school. And that's what most people are worried about. I would say the teachers mostly, because they feel they're the ones more at risk than the students,
right.
Because you don't know what the students are bringing in. Like she said, it hasn't been studied. But it will take probably a mass outbreak in the school for them to kind of look at it a little differently. Because at that point now, if you get so many cases of COVID in the school, they're going to have to shut the school down, So if you have a bunch of teachers out, who's going to be substitutes? It's just it creates a huge problem. You may not get a substitute teacher to come in and sub for a class because it's out,
right.
for 14 days. So like I said, if you get so many, the rule is you're going to have to shut school down. That school is just going to have to shut down for however many days. And, how many times are you going to disrupt school? So it's going to take, I agree. It's going to take an outbreak to happen in the school.
I was going to say, I feel like we already have kind of accepted it. I mean, given the way people are acting towards different, whether it's the mask mandates or getting tested or anything, or just rejecting science in general. I think a lot of times it's the same people that are, that are crying false in light of the mass shootings or saying that the solution to those is more guns. It's a lot of times the same people, or a lot of the same, pundits and loud voices. And I think we've kind of been conditioned as Americans to accept a certain amount of casualty as the cost of doing business. We talked about in a previous episode, might have been probably Sade's, that the reason why, and I'm segueing to one of our reoccurring topics, The reason why Breonna Taylor's killers haven't been charged is because that's considered to be the cost of doing business for the police department. You know, and it's just kind of the same concept that we don't seem to. I got a 3-day Facebook. What's the word? Where they restricted me for 3 days because I said Americans are selfish. And I was in Facebook jail for 3 days because I said Americans are selfish. And I think it's ironic that that is apparently more objectionable than a lot of the things we see. Michael, you didn't weigh in yet.
I mean, I was waiting to see what whether you were going to cover. We often have the same view. I was waiting to see how far you were going to take it. I mean, I think that I don't know what has made Americans so desensitized towards death in general. It's not like you turn on the news, you're not watching an action film. Like the value of a person's life. Unfortunately, we're headed back into necropolitics with this, Dan. We're headed back into the cost of doing business, who has to die, and for what. You know what I mean? We're always circling that same drain because nobody wants to just go ahead and admit that most of the things that happen to us in this country are about population control. That's the Mickey that got slipped in that nobody ever wants to address. That's really what it always seems to really be about when I look at it from my viewpoint. And I mean, we've already been over this. As soon as they found out COVID was mainly affecting brown people, people of color, seemed like they just went, oh, well, okay, well.
Yeah,
let's keep it moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that part of it. I don't know. Is it possible for the first time in the history of this show I'm kind of speechless? Like I can't even get my head wrapped around it because it makes me so enraged.
I mean, you're not speechless to me. You're making some great points, and Allison just kind of summed it up pretty beautifully in her comment there as well. Is just this concept of if it doesn't happen to me, then it doesn't matter or it didn't even happen.
It's that's because we live in an age where that's really, people don't understand the connectivity. They don't understand the ripple effect. They don't understand their effect on other things. For what other reason could somebody be so selfish as to say, essentially, you're impeding upon my right to make you sick. I'm not going to wear a mask. Like, what kind of backwards is a glitch in the system? The manifold's busted. Something wrong.
You need to make that a status. You're impeding upon my right to make you sick.
I mean, that's what we're talking about. Like, why? Yeah. What has made people so entitled?
I mean,
the right.
So the thing for me is, like, we touched on before, as everybody here knows, I've been through COVID. I've been through one of the worst cases that you survived from.
And I wouldn't walk up to you and say in your face that you were a liar.
I've had people tell me that it didn't happen to me. I've absolutely had people say to my face that I never had it, in person and on the internet. But my thing is, having gone through that, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So why would I want it, to risk happening to anybody else, And so when we look at these things about our official topic today about schools reopening, and I think about the possibility that it could happen to kids or parents or teachers, I mean, the most important thing to me is to figure out a way to reduce or eliminate that, because I wouldn't want to see anybody go through that.
But what kind of horrible monster wouldn't agree?
Just entitled Americans. And that's exactly
why nobody wants it anywhere.
Other countries view us as entitled Americans.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that's the other thing, is that I read some statistic about like 10% of, like, this is years ago, like 10% of the population of the United States had a passport, and like 10% of that 10% actually used it. You know, like Americans have no idea what's going on in the world. I mean, and seem to not care.
I mean, at the risk of offending some of our viewer base, I feel like the majority of people not only have never left the country, but they've never realistically left the area they grew up in. You know, if you're in, I mean, so, you know, if you're in Michael's in my area, you know, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the furthest you might have gone is Chicago. You know, your folks went to Chicago, or they went to the Dells, or they went up north. You know, you know anybody had a cabin up north, Michael? And
I know a couple people right now, and I get mad every time they bring it up.
And that's
we had to go back up because there's a cabin, and we took the boat out, and then we had to take and go back down to the. I don't want to hear about your wilderness problems. I'm black. I believe in wilderness, but I don't mess with it. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah,
your cabin and your boat.
The boat out on the lake there. That's how you talk in Minnesota.
They don't know what we're doing, right?
Well, I mean, they got, you know, there's plenty of accents to make fun of down there too. They're just looking at a straight face, doing the Minnesota accent. My wife hates it. Man. My wife hates it when I put that on too.
I'm just not. What I'm finding is I'm not articulate in this moment because I'm feeling too much about it. You know,
I didn't think that. Go ahead.
I'm trying to coalesce the vapor of what's going on in my head, but all I see is red. I'm just mad. I'm just upset. People suck.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that about sums it up. I didn't think this was going to be a darker episode, but there's really no way to talk about something that could result in dead children
I warned you about this, man. We're going to hit dark matter at some point with this.
Yeah, I mean, well, luckily we have people that are, you know, I mean, so Shan, are you a parent as well?
No.
Okay, so 3 of the 4 of us are also parents, and then, you know, the 2 of, you know, our 2 panelists work in the field. So, you know, and I know a lot of people in the comments already have been talking about the risk to teachers. I mean, and I've definitely known some teachers that I've, you know, they're in my Facebook feed talking about, guess I better prepare my will and stuff like that. I mean, is it really, I guess we'll ask Dr. Nickie from a medical perspective, is it really that, is that what we're looking at? You know, is it that?
Down here on the coast, they have asked teachers to do that. I'm not saying they made it a requirement, but yes, it was even on our local news. They have asked some teachers to create advanced directives or, you know, put forth a will. And I would just like to say that there are quite a few older teachers at my son's school. I think just traditionally, private schools, they have older instructors. Maybe they've been former college instructors that have retired and they've come back to work or something like that. But a lot of his instructors are older. I don't know who his teacher is going to be this year, but for his 3rd grade year, it was funny. He had they started changing classes, 2 classes for the first half of the day and the second half of the day. And his morning teacher was an older lady and his afternoon teacher was a 23-year-old. And I was just like, how did she get here? Because there's like no one else at the school around her age. But like I said, I don't think anyone is taking into consideration, yes, children usually tolerate the virus better. Yes, You know, they may be an asymptomatic carrier, so they'll be okay, but they're not taking into consideration the teachers, the principal, the office staff, the cafeteria workers, and once again, the parents and grandparents. In my school in Carolina, there are a ton of grandparents that come to pick up their kids every day because mommy and daddy are working. And so it's not limited to the school. They can bring the virus home to their loved ones.
Yeah, it's just Dr. Shan.
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
What is are there federal or legal ramifications surrounding the reopening of schools? Like, it's mandatory that it happens at some point, but what branch of government is twisting the arm?
Well,
let's see how she can get into this and still run for the office.
I'm sorry, if you don't have the answer, I'm nobody. You don't have to answer that question if it's going to.
I'll say this, okay, because we are a public entity. We receive state and federal funds.
Right.
That's the answer.
So if you're not going to spend that money, we're going to take it back.
Right. And you have your more, I guess what you call your district that have quite a few free and reduced students. That's how you get your federal dollars. That's your Title I schools. So you get a lot of federal funds based on that. So yes, you have the government driving. We're public servants, so we have to report to work. We have to educate the students.
Okay. Wasn't there?
They gave us options. They gave us guidance on how we do it. The districts just have to use that guidance to figure out what's best for them.
So, how much? I know I've seen some articles basically claiming that Betsy DeVos was behind the push to reopen schools. How much of it is federal and how much of it is on a state level? Or does it just come down to the funding?
Well, of course, we have even our local government. Our government would have to, or your state government would have to make, I guess, issue the order to, like we sheltered in place. They would have to issue an order for us to not continue. Well, the shelter in place order has been lifted, it's over, so now it's just sort of business as usual. I guess to a certain degree, federally they have some input, but not totally. You do have your state government that is, still should be able to make those decisions.
Okay, so I guess here's where I want to go, unless somebody else has someplace they want to go first. I'm trying to figure out what that noise was. Anybody?
Me too. I don't know.
Let me just mute everybody and see where it goes away. I think that was you, Nikki, because I muted you and it went away.
What do you hear?
Somebody talking in the background. You got any sound in the background?
My son in Roblox. 1 second.
Just, if you can, just close any other windows that you have open. That might help. Oh, Jeremy hears it too. Of course, the engineer hears it. She's.
What if you don't?
Yeah, pretty much. So, I think it's something on your computer. Do you have anything else on your computer, Nikki? You have any other windows open?
The chat, and there's a Gmail account. Okay, let me shut that. Did that help?
Keep checking your private chat, Dan.
Oh, okay.
Wake up.
I think it's. Let me just make sure again.
All right.
Yeah, it's Nikki because when I muted her. Yeah, but I think it's her. Oh well. We'll let me just remove you from the stream and put you back.
What does it sound like?
Sound like somebody on a CB radio.
Okay. Yeah, somebody's talking in the background.
Walkie-talkie, listening into this conversation. It might be the CIA. We don't know.
I don't know. I'm just going to remove you and put you back and see if that makes a difference.
Nope.
No. Well,
maybe I leave.
It's all right.
Leave the studio and come back.
Say that again. Okay, go ahead. That'll be fine. Oh, Jeremy, the engineer, says to put headphones on.
Oh.
So, yeah, I see what he's saying now.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, we've all. When she comes back, we lost Shan too.
No, so, I just want to get some headphones.
Okay. So stay with us, guys. You know, so what I was gonna get to, I guess, and I can ask this for Dr. Shan while it's not that loud, Aaron. I agree. We can wait till Nickie gets back. But I think so. I was gonna see if we could figure out a way, knowing that everybody that's watching, you need me to resend the link, Nickie? I can resend it.
Just presume that she does.
Yeah, I'll resend it. Knowing that everybody watching is in different states and different school districts, what should parents do to look out for the best interest of their families and their kids, and what should teachers do to look out for the best interest of themselves, essentially? Like, again, knowing that the restrictions are going to be different, and there's a lot of different concerns at play. What's the most solution-oriented way we can approach this?
As for parents, because I know it is a difficult decision to make, because some parents are still working from home, some have had to return to work. So you may have a situation where virtual is just not a great option for that parent because they won't be able to assist, or no one will be home. Childcare is a factor. You have some who are just, definitely afraid of sending their child, traditional or hybrid. For parents, I think you just have to really figure out what's best for you and your family, whatever that is, and be okay. I think I heard a pediatrician say this on YouTube. Be okay with your decision. Do what's best for you and your family. So if it's homeschool, because we also know some parents are just saying, forget it, I'm homeschooling my child. If it's homeschool, if you want to send your child back to school, that's okay too. Schools will be open. Whether it's hybrid, just whatever decision you make, it's okay. And, to friends of these parents and family, be supportive of their decision. Don't criticize someone for the decision they made, because you don't know what their dynamic is. Basically. It is a tough time right now, and a tough decision for everybody. So just have a little grace. People out there who criticize everything, and parents, whatever you decide is going to be okay, because you're making the best possible decision for your family.
And let me just put on top of that, everybody mind your business. Tell the people how to live.
And I guess that's, we as, we're not only entitled, but do we have opinions.
Oh, yeah.
We have opinions, and we judge rather harshly at times.
That's
and
right.
Know people's situation.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Nickie?
I'll stay out of yours.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I had to log in with my phone. I don't know what was going on with my computer.
It was working fine when you were on the computer a few seconds ago.
But I couldn't hear you.
Okay, well, if this works, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. So, kind of what I heard you say just then, and I'm translating, is there's no ideal solution right now. So, whatever, basically there's no good decision or bad decision. So
right. Exactly.
That's right.
That's sad, but also empowering, I think, because I'm sure there are a lot of parents that are, very torn about what to do in this.
I mean, how much do you have to tell them? Err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't answer the part about teachers, because I do know we have teachers who are afraid, and I would say to them, you're probably being told you have to come back to work, report to work. My best possible advice is, if you feel strongly about not returning, but you know that you have to because it is your job, try to do your best with the social distancing. Wear your mask. A lot of them are requiring masks. Wear your mask, wear your face shield, do your best to protect yourself. If you're kind of knocking at retirement door, I heard some teachers say, I'm just gonna retire, forget this. That's an option, but I would hate to lose awesome, great teachers. We do not need to lose that. But, to my teachers out there, I feel your pain. I do not, I empathize with any teacher who is very concerned with returning to work, especially if they have underlying health conditions. I do empathize with you, and just know you're not alone in this. And that's, to me, the best solution. Yeah. I mean, the best advice I could give.
Nikki, were you here for the question?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. So I guess my question was, what is I know I tried to use the phrase solution-oriented. What is the solution-oriented way to look at this in terms of parents and teachers? I don't remember what I said. Does anybody else remember what I said? It was good, though. It was a good question.
Well, when I replay the show tomorrow, we'll see how good a question it was.
Right. Basically, like, what, given that everybody's in a different state, everybody's in a different city, we have, people watching all over the country and presumably elsewhere, and everybody's dealing with different school districts and different COVID numbers. What's the best approach that parents and teachers can take for the best interests of their students and themselves?
I guess the first thing is to be patient. These are uncharted, waters. We have no clue what this virus is going to do. We don't know what the U.S. is going to look like a year from now. So I think it should be a meeting of the minds, definitely. We're not enemies. The children, the teachers, the administrators, and the parents have to all work together. Something very interesting to kind of remind us how this virus has changed. Remember, initially, as it was making its way to the U.S., we were noting that there were no African Americans or any people of African descent that were catching it. And there was this one random guy in China who had caught it, and he was sick for like a week and it was over with. So everybody thought that African Americans were immune to it. Then it hit the US and everything went crazy. And so it just really shows you that there's a lot of things that we do not know. Initially, everybody thought just, lighter skinned people or Asian people were going to contract it. But the U.S. showed a totally different scenario.
Didn't it, though?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it now?
I do remember that. I remember people specifically posting on Facebook that if you're Black, you can't get COVID.
Exactly.
And, I remember that.
This is another one that makes me hot. See, disinformation is a real thing.
It is.
Disinformation is a real thing. I really think somebody intentionally put that out there to disarm Black people, to make them relax and not.
I do remember that. I remember people specifically posting on Facebook that if who's got the sound? Who's trying to?
Exactly.
And,
yes. I remember that.
Okay, we got.
Is it me?
It wasn't you, Michael. We got it solved.
It was me.
Okay.
So, and somebody just gotten you all riled up too. We just had you all. We had you all going there for a second.
I'm calm now. I'm back to.
You're right. I mean, you're right though. That disinformation has been. I saw a meme somewhere that said that we have two viruses going right now: COVID-19 and disinformation.
Yes, yep. I mean, it's. I'm trying not to go there because I don't want to sound like a crazy person. You know what I'm saying, Dan. So many people came out. Oh, how can a virus be racist? How can you say they're targeting? Like, listen, what's happening is that the virus could care less what color you are, but if you don't have the resources to protect yourself, if you're working on the front line, you working, like service jobs, people who can't work from home, people who are exposed, people who are can't afford to just who was it that said when America catches a cold, black people catch pneumonia?
I've never heard that before, but that's a great quote.
It's essentially the same thing. People are like, what is that supposed to mean?
You got Nickie Stank Face there.
Yeah.
Stank Face.
Yeah. Was
that good Stank Face, Nickie? Was that like the quote?
How interesting, Stank Face. And you guys, I'm still here. I'm still all in the conversation. I'm trying to fix the mic on my computer, so I
understand.
Oh, do what you need to do.
It's I can't. I'm trying not to piece the puzzle together, but my mind works in a certain kind of way. I'm looking at all this stuff, like okay, like the you saw on the other day. I had the thing about a cashless society.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, man. And somebody was asking again, like, do we think that COVID was man-made in a petri dish somewhere, or in a lab somewhere? I mean, Dr. Karika basically said she didn't think so, but that it wasn't impossible.
Right.
Like, have you done any come up with something that just happens to affect people, more strongly, who don't have the economic advantage, or don't have health care, don't have resources, can't afford to take time off work, can't work from home. Like it's a bigger situation going on, and I know I sound like I'm insane.
Try to keep that also in mind when voicing my opinions on returning to school and what have you. When the pandemic first hit, mm-hmm. and they stopped classes at my son's school, it was no big deal for me. I'm self-employed, and so I was able to redo my schedule and be at home with my son. And I also have the advantage of my in-laws being 30 minutes down the road, and my mother, who is a pre-K teacher, being 2 hours away. And so I had that option. I
God bless you.
That not everybody has that option, and I try to always keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of us are doing all right, but a lot of us are not. And when I heard from my friend Winter Jones about in Chicago, he had heard about certain black men, like when they first started to offer the stipend, the government assistance for COVID,
unemployment assistance.
Yeah. That he had heard that black men in Chicago were going out trying to catch the virus just so they could get the money, just to provide for their family.
Wow.
I mean, that shook me up, man.
Well, okay, so wait a second. I don't know what he's referring to then, because the unemployment stipend was just if you're unemployed during COVID, you theoretically you get an extra $600 a week if you apply and qualify.
You know what? I shouldn't have started discussing it without my facts in order.
I have heard something about people deliberately trying to catch COVID.
Yeah.
I just don't remember why. Any idea, Nikki? Have you heard anything about that? I know one of the internet crazy things. I just don't remember which.
I don't want to name the incorrect organization. I don't want to say the SBA because I know that's directly businesses, but at some point there was some type of grant program that would assist you if you were taking care of a family member with COVID, or if you contracted COVID and you were the prime breadwinner of the home. I didn't find out much about it. It didn't apply, to my household situation, but I do remember it.
Jeremy says it was prisoners trying to get it for release.
Well, that could very well be also. They'll do anything to get out of jail.
Yeah. Death though? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
But death?
I mean, that's the way to get out, but I don't.
Well, that's one way to get all the way out.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess I'm just full of histrionics tonight. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm usually much more level-headed, but I can't keep my mind from just sort of just connecting dots and.
Well, it's been a good day for conspiracy theories. If anybody has watched the news, I know Nikki and I were talking about it earlier. I think both
we're going to get on about the hydro.
We don't have to, but I mean
the hydroponic.
It's did you ever? I know when we talked about earlier, Michael, you hadn't had a chance to look at the news cycle today. Did you happen to?
Man, the news give me a headache. I can't.
Really?
Only a few minutes a day now. I'm staying in the lab. I'm working on music.
I'll tell you, my solution, this is completely tangential and off the discussion, but my solution, if I want to make sure I know what's going on in the world and don't get too deep, is I have Alexa set up to do a flash briefing from NPR. And every morning when I'm getting ready or whenever I first have the opportunity, I ask her to give me my flash briefing, and it runs down all the world news stories from NPR, and it keeps me abreast of a lot of stuff I might not necessarily have. It's not the same stuff that comes in my email and on Facebook and everything like that. And then I don't get sucked down the rabbit hole of the, like Nikki and I were talking about earlier, commenting on local news stories and stuff like that. So that's just, if you have one of those, I'm going to stop saying her name before she reacts and says something. But if you have a smart home device that shall remain nameless, that's a really good way to get your news stories without getting too deep into it.
How many different voices can you choose for Alexa?
I don't know. I know they got Samuel L. Jackson now.
So you don't have to have a white woman talking to you all day long.
I was wondering why you were asking. I guess
because your wife is black. She might come out the kitchen. Like, if you don't turn her off right now, she sounds just like what's her face at work.
It's funny because when I set it up to give me the news, she used to say, "Dan, here's your news." And my wife got real upset. Like, why it always says Dan? Why does it never say my name? So now it's I changed it to say Nia. So now whenever I ask for the news, it says, "Nia, here's your news."
You're funny, man. You have learned the first rule of staying married as a man. Surrender.
So that's but yeah, I like the news stories that I get from there because it keeps me abreast of some things happening in other parts of the world that I might not otherwise know about.
Okay.
Nikki, you want to switch to your computer? We got two Nickies here. Look.
Wow.
Yeah, we do.
How about you like that better?
Yo, it's like till her eyes move. I thought it was a frozen picture.
I know. No, her mic's still off. Okay, we'll put the other one back on. Never mind.
Nikki, you all right?
Okay, you can hear me?
Yeah.
But
I wonder if there's
when you switch to computer.
No. I wonder if there's a way to get the video from the one. I don't know how to do it.
The other?
Yeah, fancy for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who do you think you are, man? You ain't.
Jeremy in here is our engineer.
I'll just stick with the phone. I was trying my best. There's something going on with my microphone.
I got
okay. You. Okay. Yeah. Do we want to talk about that at all? We don't have to, but I thought for sure people would be commenting and asking about it, but nobody has yet, which has been kind of a relief.
I don't. It's from what it sounded like. From what you told me, it sounded like a ruse to me.
Yeah, I think that's probably what would you say, Nikki?
I think that people want to believe in, they're willing to defy logic. We have Dr. Fauci, who's been a person to literally diagnose, study, and treat diseases for 30 years. And this random lady who comes in stating she's a doctor and has cured COVID automatically is the prime source of information. I'm not one to sit here and bash another, physician, but this lady, her name is Dr. Stella Emanuel. She stated that she had treated and cured 350 people of COVID, and she did it using hydroxychloroquine and Zithromax, which is the Z-Pack. I'm sure most of us have been on it before, and zinc, which is just a vitamin. I'm in several, medical groups on Facebook or whatever, and I found out about it last night. And so I was prepared for all of the madness today. And, people have a way of finding out things in a hurry and when you need to. Because what a lot of the physicians in the doctors group was saying was they were going to have their patients coming at them. Why didn't you give me this drug? It's a cure. It's a cure. And they have to sit there and defend why they haven't given their patients this particular drug. But just really briefly, regarding Dr. Emanuel, she went to medical school in Nigeria. We know this is a fact. She came to the US and did a pediatrics residency in New York. She then moved to Texas, where she has been a pediatrician until last year. Last year, she left her practice to begin her ministry. And that is where she supposedly started treating patients for COVID. Now, all of the Facebook detectives have found out that she actually has, preached that a lot of women's reproductive health issues are caused by demon sperm that you get from sleeping with demons in your sleep. And this is all on the internet. You can go directly to her page and see it. And she also said that the government is developing a vaccine to keep people from becoming religious. And she also says a lot of the drugs and things we use contain alien DNA. So this is the new spokesperson for people that believe that there's a cure for COVID. Forget Dr. Fauci.
And he who shall not be named has been retweeting her.
Yes,
of course, yeah.
That guy.
Yeah. Just and a lot of people are taking. So let me ask you a question, because I've had people talking to me about this all day, because now that hydroxychloroquine is back in the news, everybody that knows that I was sick has been asking if I was given it, and I was specifically told that it didn't do anything to help. I have absolutely no idea if I'm assuming they gave me zinc because it's a vitamin. I always take my vitamins. What was the other thing that you mentioned that you said? Z-Pack?
The Z-Pack, zithromycin.
What is that?
It's an antibiotic. A lot of people take it for sinus infections, for cold, what have you.
Oh, okay. You don't happen to know off the top of your head if they gave me that, do you?
Off the top of my head, no, but they did give you different antibiotics. I just don't know if the azithromycin was it. They probably gave you a larger dose versus the Z-Pack. The Z-Pack is very concentrated, so you take X amount on day 1, X amount on day 2. They probably were just giving it to you full throttle.
So theoretically, at least I got everything that she was recommending.
Okay.
Probably. And then they probably gave it to you before you went on the vent.
Yes.
And so if it had worked, you wouldn't have gone on the vent.
I wouldn't have needed the ventilator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I was getting at. I was scrolling through my medical records earlier trying to look for the other things that she mentioned, but I did know about the hydroxychloroquine. And I remember specifically asking, because when I was in the hospital was the first time Trump was bringing this up as the new miracle cure, and whatever doctors he was listening to then. And so I remember specifically asking them if it worked, and they were like, no, it didn't. We're going to try it. It's experimental. And then they tried it, and they said, no, that didn't help. So, but that's been...
You did get sick kind of early on. So in that time, there were a lot of things that were unknown that are known now, like the coagulation of, blood or whatever. And so I'm not ashamed to tell anybody, doctors were trying to figure it out. They didn't know the perfect protocol. And so they were treating the symptoms as they came. Yeah. There's still not a cure, but a lot more is known than was known, say, in March.
Yeah.
I know one of the things that surprised me, and anybody that's my Facebook friend and has read my whole testimony about when I went through it, is the first serious symptom that I had was heart symptoms. And at the time, the doctors were all kind of shocked by that because they didn't, they weren't expecting that. Now it seems to be pretty common knowledge that COVID affects your heart.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but that has to do with the coagulation of the blood. It can cause strokes as well. Blood clots being sent to any particular part of your body. I think I know there was a patient. I'm trying to get the state right. I want to say Virginia. He was a Caucasian male. I can't remember if he had pre-existing conditions or not. But anyway, his clotting was so bad in his lower extremity, he had to have a leg amputation. And this was from the clotting from COVID.
I know there was that famous Broadway actor in New York that had to have, I think, one or both of his legs amputated. He later died. But, that's... Yeah, I don't know. Do we want to put Allison's comment up there? Do we want to go that direction, Michael? What do you think?
Well,
I'm doing it. So, anybody want to comment on that?
I also think her being one. I said this earlier.
Oh, why?
I did. I was like, they're probably like, okay, we can use her and show that Black Lives Matter. Yeah, let's get behind Dr. Emanuel. And I'm just like, really? Now? This is who you go behind?
I mean, they've been doing that with
political. It's political.
Ben Carson and what other idiots have they found? Herman Cain.
I was just about to say, an article came out today. He has been in the hospital for a month now. And nobody's been talking about it. He was diagnosed on the 27th of June with COVID, and he has been in the hospital ever since.
And wasn't he one of the main? Didn't he speak out? Didn't he?
He was anti-mask. He was anti-mask, and he developed his symptoms 2 weeks after attending that Tulsa rally.
I mean, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but just all there is tone and vibration. What you speech, what you say, what you let pass beyond your lips is important. And I'm only going to go that far with it. I don't want nobody to think I'm trying to, I'm not working in no voodoo. I'm not. But what I am saying is that
even from a
you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. We can speak things into the atmosphere, and
we do it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
And it definitely.
I appreciate that.
Good or bad.
Now, yeah, good and bad. We do it all the time. All we got is tone and vibration. It ain't even the words in particular. It's the energy attached to them when you speak them.
I agree.
And I'm not saying he brought the disease on himself, but I'm just like, listen, don't speak of what you don't know. That's all.
You're right. I just wish, especially as a medical professional, the debates, the back and forths would be regarding medicine. Everything is political. I haven't heard anybody say, I want to take this drug or I don't want to take this drug because I'm afraid I'll get sick or I'm afraid I'm going to have a reaction. Everything is they're trying to keep the drug from us because they want us to do this and it's going to be one world order and stuff. And, I know I should ignore it, but as a medical professional, every time I see it, I feel like I just have to speak out. And today just had me burnt out.
Yeah.
You raising. Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
No, I don't have nothing in particular to say. I'm just overwhelmed this evening. That's all.
I mean, I think she raises a really good point because I was going back to the only discussion I had with somebody that was a little more on the nose about it, and I invited her to watch this evening, so maybe she is, and I hope she is, but I haven't seen her in the comments yet. Somebody was saying that she believed that it was, the appropriate treatment, and she had a doctor friend that backed it up, and that doctor friend had a supply of hydrochloroquine waiting for her and her family in case they catch COVID. So that was the only person I talked to that specifically related this debate in terms of themselves. Everybody else has been like you said, Nikki, has been just in terms of, well, they're doing this and they're doing, okay, but what about you? Would you take the drug? And then again, I'm somebody, that I don't, I listen to the experts, I listen to the professionals, and if somebody has a history of misinformation, I'm not going to name, he who shall not be named, and I take anything that he is or anyone in that vein are suggesting with a huge block of salt. But then again, when I was in the hospital and they said, are you willing to take this? That was the only experimental thing that they gave me that they asked me about beforehand. Apparently they gave me some other experimental stuff and did not, and I didn't know about it till later. But that was the only thing they gave me that they said, well, there's this thing that's been, that's been talked about lately that supposedly can help or not help. We don't know, but we'll give it a try. Do you want to try? I said, yes. I said, absolutely. They, at the time, I don't think the side effects or risks were well known either. And they didn't tell me about any side effects or risks. They just said, this is an experimental drug. And I'd heard about it in the news. And, so I'm not, I think where it becomes dangerous is like what Dr. Stella has been talking about is okay, Nikki, explain this to me. I don't know if you saw the video where she was actually talking, but apparently her argument was hydroxychloroquine is the cure, therefore we don't need masks.
She said we don't need masks and we don't need to social distance. She said these patients are in my clinic and I don't wear a mask. I don't stand away from them because we don't need it. We don't need it. But then if you search her videos and in her past a little bit, just a few short weeks ago, she was telling people to come into her clinic. She'd be happy to treat them for COVID, but she had on full PPE, including mask and the whole astronaut suit and everything. So there's another thing.
Fraudulent.
So
it's not hard to find. Just click around Facebook.
What's the argument that why wouldn't we need masks? Even if hydroxychloroquine worked, is she suggesting that we all catch COVID-19 and then take the medicine to treat it?
I guess she was saying don't worry about wearing the mask because if you catch it, here's a magic pill that's going to cure you right up.
Yeah. How about preventative action?
Exactly.
How about let's not get it? See, it's more that bell ringing. Like, you're not going to escape it. Everybody's going to get it once at least. So just go with it. It's that. I'm sorry about the accompanying Green Bay Packers fan voice. Just go with it. You know, it's just like a common cold. Every time I hear somebody say that, I want to wring somebody's neck.
Ooh, and when they say it's the flu. Oh.
Dan,
yes?
Let me tell you something, man. The fact that I sometimes forget you're taking a handful of pills every day.
Every day, still.
When I start thinking about it, it makes me really sad. Because, yes, people think you're just going to have an episode and come out.
And plus,
for you.
What else? I can't get to everything here, but then I got a bunch of supplements and stuff that I take.
It's been months. People think they're just going to get it and just, okay, I'm cool.
I bought a cane last week because the pain in my leg has made me limp everywhere. And I figured if I'm going to be limping, I'll at least limp in style. So I got like a pimp cane.
All right.
And I asked the church if I was taking on a second career.
We got Mr. White folks. All right, Mr. White folks.
But, yeah, I mean, and I wasn't, the only thing I was taking beforehand was vitamins and fiber supplements. And that's it.
Yeah. I'm just saying, man. It's like every time I think about it, it's like they don't really know. The results have varied so much from person to person.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't call it. You can't call it. You can't call it.
It's a real mystery. The things that I've seen a lot treat mostly an elderly population. And once I went back to work, like so many of my patients that were COVID survivors, heart problems, diabetes, etc., 80 years old, but they're back in my treatment chair because they survived, versus in Florida the other day, the 9-year-old girl that passed.
Yeah. All bets are off. I wish they'd stop trying to pretend like they're in front of something, because they don't know what to get in front of.
Mm-hmm.
That's the aggravating part, is that we need answers. We don't need wrong answers. And also just the fact that we're living in an age where people don't want, I mean, if there was a solution, how many people would actually listen to it or take the time out?
If a doctor said it was a cure, no. But if the guy that has the press conference every day said it, they might.
Oh, that's right. Some people did die. Some people did drink disinfectant or something. Man.
Exactly.
All right. I got to remember. Hey, listen, Jim Jones existed. Some people going to drink the Kool-Aid.
I don't mean to leave Dr. Shanta up there in the upper right square with nothing to say. Do you have anything to add?
No.
They're not in your head.
I'm not gonna call her a quack because that would be rude, but I did not hear about the lady until we were waiting in the studio room. So I don't have much to add. I wish people would stop with the conspiracy theories or all of that extra. It just confuses everything, makes people more crazy. Let's just get to some solutions.
Well, all right.
Real solutions.
Do you,
before your school, back in March when they let all the schools go virtual, what were like your coworkers, the other administrators, what did they feel about the whole pandemic? Did they feel like it was a hoax? Were they honestly scared?
Actually, I'm going to I had one of my staff members in particularly, because when the pandemic first started, I was, of course, at a different job. I remember as we were, they were making decisions to or thinking about closing my district, my previous district, they were giving us, building leaders instructions on, what to do. And I remember one of my staff members said, I believe we're just doing way too much. This is not going to be anything big. I think we're making, a mountain out of a molehill. I can't believe they're actually thinking about closing schools. And so once the pandemic happened and we did the shelter in place, and then we had to return back to work, this same staff member was afraid to come back to work. Worried about health. I won't, reveal the name, but she had a lot of concerns about comments. She was very vocal. And I thought, in the beginning, you didn't take it seriously. You thought, we were doing way too much. So, yeah. So in the beginning, we did have people who didn't, they didn't believe it. They thought we were jumping the gun. They was like, oh, it's not going to impact us. It's only going to impact China.
Black people can't catch it.
What was the other one? Oh, it's not COVID. It's 5G.
The 5G radiation.
Oh, I should have worn my 5G shirt from Shop Topography. Michael knows what I'm talking about.
Wear your tin hat too.
Right. Lord have mercy.
So it's just amazing. How in the beginning you had people who didn't really believe it, and then now they do, which is a good thing, I guess. But we also some of those people still think it's a hoax, and they're just going on, about their day, not wanting to wear a mask and all of that.
Yeah, can we just visit the actual, I found a meme the other day that I put up, and I was like, it's so true. The same people complaining about not wearing masks or wearing masks, actually, I should let me go look at it for a hot second. I'm gonna blow it.
I think I remember it.
People complaining about having their freedoms taken away are the same ones who don't want to wear a mask. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, but Dr. Shan and I live in the Bible Belt, so whatever you're going through, it's 10 times worse down here.
So for real? Okay.
I was waiting. I guess
I said what I said. Yeah.
I mean, in the defense of what Nickie said, they do have the Confederate flag in the Mississippi state flag. It's hard to get worse than that.
But we recently got rid of it.
Oh, really? That actually happened?
Yes, in November we worked on our new design.
They're going to replace it with what? A swastika?
They have actually had some artists come up with some designs, and in November we're going to vote for it.
This is which state now? I'm sorry.
Mississippi.
Wow.
Michael,
here's my question. How much do y'all really care?
About the flag?
About the flag? I thought it was huge that we were able to get rid of. We've been trying to for years. So I felt like it was, a huge gain for us, a huge win for Mississippi to finally get rid of it. And so I'm happy.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually one good thing coming out of the state. So I was
Yes.
like, okay, let's kind of focus on that. Let's not say anything else about Mississippi for a while. Let's let everybody focus on that.
Yeah, so it was a huge game for us, huge win. So, we've lost business because of that flag,
I suppose that Confederate flag is really offensive to some.
Mm-hmm.
I think the headspace I'm in is I'm right now. I'm really aggravated by all the gestures because a lot of them are disingenuous.
I agree.
Corporate and otherwise. But if it means something to y'all, it means something to me. Really, like you can take away the racist flag, but you can't take the racist nowhere.
True.
This is silly, but there is something that I'm excited about. I'm gonna go get it, and you guys are gonna laugh at me.
Okay, while she's doing that, Michael, is this the meme that you were talking about? I went looking for it, so let me see if I can throw it up there.
We'll throw it up. Oh yeah, the ones refusing to wear the mask will be the reason why we end up closing down again. Yep.
And there's
enough.
So I had to order these, and I picked them up on yesterday. Crayola calls it Colors of the World, and they are reflective of all of the different skin tones. And I thought this was so wonderful. All these beautiful browns and ivories and pinks. I just want to share that. This was
is that something that came out of the it came out recently?
When they first started making them in April, I think, and I could never find them in the store, so I had to go on a waiting list. And then they emailed me to let me know they were back in stock.
Oh, so this actually predates being. Okay. So this actually predates racial equality being in vogue.
Well, April, May.
When
I don't know.
Because it wasn't until May that people really started paying attention for at least for a brief period of time. So that's okay. So it actually seems like maybe they did that for a legitimate reason.
Be inclusive. What color am I?
Yeah. I don't know.
I am extra deep almond.
That's all right.
She is very happy about these crayons. I know that.
I'm happy for her. I'm happy they make her happy.
Right. I know when my daughter was younger, everyone was either brown or beige. And that was the way the world worked. And she was beige like daddy, and mama was brown. And like literally everybody got put in either the brown or the beige category, completely independent of race. And just in terms of how deep your skin tone was. And I always thought that was very interesting that that's how she saw the world. Mm-hmm. I can remember having trouble trying to find like a peach crayon when I had to draw myself when I was a kid.
What do you have to use?
Have to use the clear one.
Ain't no clear one. Is
there? There's like a white one or something.
No.
It's like white, but it doesn't show up on the paper, so it's clear. So
that's real suspect to me.
Oh, here. This is right what you're talking about.
Dodgy to me, man.
Rashida, I was literally looking for them last night. They did the ad probably in April and May as well, but I cannot find them. However, there's a brand called True Color that makes it. I have some of those. The True Color, they have the skin color band-aids in darker tones.
Is that a black-owned brand?
Yes, it's black-owned.
Nice. We should definitely promotion for that then. True Color?
Yes.
Okay. Can you get them? Are they in stores? Oh, she's going to go get them again. You don't have any props, Shanta?
No. No props.
Just my hair, which is bouncing and behaving.
Oh, that's true.
That's my prop.
Your curl pattern is on point today.
Don't say it's not luxurious when you know it is.
Good hair day. Not always.
Let's put here. Hold it up again. Thank you. There you go.
It's a good representation of my 3-member household.
True Color, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Diversity and healing. Okay.
Wow.
Slogan: diversity and healing.
Yes.
Okay. So next week, I guess we need the black-owned crayon manufacturer next to get the colors right in the Crayola box. That's you feel like so. Before we move on, speaking of entrepreneurs, Nickie, do you want to tell us a little bit about your nonprofit?
Oh, NHR Blueprint Foundation. It is a nonprofit for women and girls, and we try to encourage empowerment for women in all things.
Yes,
health,
it is.
Education, travel, and entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, COVID has slowed us down because all of our programs were in person. We haven't launched a digital platform yet, but we are ready once, it's safe to go outside again.
Uh-huh.
You want to segue briefly as a doctor about when you think that'll be, or you want to leave that alone?
I think as we make more breakthroughs in treatment of the disease versus a vaccine, that things will gradually open up because people will not be afraid of, what the treatment options are. It won't be COVID, then death. My guess is I hope we are close to normal by the end of the year. Don't know if it's going to happen, but I am hoping that more countries open up to us by October the 30th, because I have a plane ticket for Cuba. So something needs to happen.
So are you, do you think that essentially once we have a vaccine and it's been tested and safe, do you think that'll be the solution? Is that what's going to save us?
I'm not even a medical doctor, and I say no.
It's not a solution, but that is what is going to send people back out into the world. There will no longer be a reason to have certain businesses shut down. There will not be a reason to keep our kids out of school. The vaccination is going to be the tell-all.
Yeah, but that's what they're going to use to push everybody back into society.
Yeah. But everybody doesn't want, to get vaccinated. So that be that issue. That's why I agree with you with them working on a treatment, some type of medication. Like for the flu, we have Tamiflu that people can take if they get it.
Yeah.
Not only, I guess, they need to work on a vaccine, but definitely some type of medication, some type of treatment for COVID flu. I don't know.
Right. So you can get it Walgreens.
Yeah.
I'm not a medical doctor though, but because people don't get the flu shot, and so go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm looking forward more or less towards a treatment versus a vaccine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would take the vaccine, but I would have my son to take the vaccine. And one of the reasons I say that, and it's not by any means because I don't believe in vaccines or anything, I'm pro-vaccine. I had a bad reaction to the flu vaccine in my 20s. I was allergic to one of the additives, and I haven't had the flu vaccine since. And that was in my 20s, and I'm older than 20 now, and I'm doing okay. I've caught the flu once, and, about 2 weeks later, I was better, but I was still moving the whole time. So just depending on the ingredients or the additives of the vaccine, I may not take it.
Yeah. I don't get the flu shot either. So.
Yeah. And I totally believe in it and that it works, but I just had a bad reaction to it.
Sure. It's not 100% for everybody. Yeah.
It's not.
I didn't feel well after my experience with the flu shot. So that's why I don't get it. I don't know. It seemed like it made me sick.
I remember that year you had the flu.
And I just decided no more flu shots. They don't work for me, but for others, it may. So as far as a COVID vaccine, I probably wouldn't do it either. But maybe, I guess if I caught it and there was a treatment, I would probably prefer to do that, like a COVID flu or whatever.
Are they still saying basically if you boost your immune system, or if you not boost your immune system, but if you stay up on like your vitamins and whatnot, is that supposed to be preventative?
Yes, I tell people that all the time. I'm for prevention and avoiding. That's another thing, like on social media or whatever. A lot of people have home remedies. If they say it's a cure, I'm all over them. If they say it's something preventative that helps their immune system, I'm agreeing. Me personally, even before I knew that it was going to be a pandemic, once I heard what was going on in China, I started myself and my son on vitamin C, and we do the elderberry, and we do vitamin C one day, elderberry one day. And the reason I was doing that is because I had planned on going to Colombia, to Cartagena for my birthday in April. And so I was building my immune system up just for travel in general. And of course that got canceled. And so since then it's been the vitamin C and the elderberry. And I also take a vitamin D supplement once a week. I was on that anyway because my last primary care appointment, I had low levels of vitamin D in my system. And so my doctor put me on 3 months of vitamin D once a week. And I think my 3 months were up in maybe April. And I contacted my primary care and I was like, I would like to continue the vitamin D because it has shown to be, a good immune booster in helping to ward off the virus.
All right.
So that's what I do. I take vitamin C one day, elderberry one day, and I take a vitamin D tablet once a week.
Vitamin D. I see. Dr. Shan?
Yes.
Do you like to travel?
I do.
Where do you like to go?
Everywhere. I've traveled quite a bit with Dr. Nickie.
I was going to say, y'all sound like two people who, but I mean, I don't take this the wrong way. I just love it when Black people get outside of this country and have some kind of other experience to compare and contrast it with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they like us everywhere we show up. But I remember being in Italy. Me and Sonny were over there, and some guy was asking us like, "How do you feel about your country?" Some Italian dude. And it was like, "Well, I mean, I guess a lot of white people have been there saying, they don't treat Americans. They treat Americans funny over there, so on and so forth." And we had heard about this, but really, when you Black from America and you go elsewhere, I mean, in my experience, they almost presume that you find your own country untenable. Like, how could you live in that situation?
Yeah.
I've had that experience several times, actually.
Last year, this time, Dr. Shan and I had just gotten back from Dubai and Bahrain. It was popping up in my Facebook memories the other day, and I was like, oh, I hate it here.
I think, one of our, and this was sort of a funny experience. It's comical now, after a while, it wasn't so comical. When we were in Dubai and we were doing the shops, we had a lot of them because it was a group of, Black women. They were busting out with the Kiki song, the Drake. Hey, Kiki, do you love me? So everywhere we went, it was like, hey, Kiki. So we was like, it was almost offensive because it was like, what are you associating Kiki with the, every Black person that you see or every Black woman?
Right.
So every corner we turned, that's what we got. So for a while, it was frustrating, and then for a while it was kind of funny. Like, I can't believe they're actually saying this, and we were like, we're not Kiki, So. They have their, I guess, stereotypes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where was that? Where were you at that this was happening?
Dubai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the
Dubai. Yeah, yes.
In the souks, the markets, in downtown Dubai. That's where all the vendors are. And, first they speak to you and I guess they kind of gauge if you're American or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They hear your accent, like, oh, we're about to up the prices 10 times.
That's right. Yeah.
Get their money.
Uh-huh.
You might get a few marriage proposals.
Yeah, it's funny, like they, especially y'all. I mean, that your skin is exotic to them.
After call being called Kiki.
Have you taken your son out of the country too, Nickie?
He has been to Mexico and Bahamas, and the reason that we're going to Cuba is for his 10th birthday. I wanted to take him out of the country for his birthday, but the funny thing is, before the pandemic, during Black Friday in 2019, I had purchased a trip to China, 10 days in China. And then the pandemic happened. And so we were able to move the China trip to April of 2021. And I used my miles to purchase tickets to Cuba.
Is there a particular reason you want to go to Cuba?
Just because I've never been, I want to experience the culture, and it was off limits to us for so long.
Right.
So,
any other places you want to visit? Maybe when we get the chance in the near distant future. Anywhere else on your mind?
Believe it or not, I want to go to Antarctica.
I see that.
And the reason is, I think a lot of people who travel, they want to become a member of the 7 Continent Club and set foot on every continent. Until last year, I didn't even know that Antarctica allowed tourists in. And I found out about it in one of my travel groups. And it probably will be the most expensive trip that I ever take. And so I'm trying to wait for a monumental birthday or something. But I would like to visit Antarctica. The curiosity is just there.
What is there to see there? Penguins?
Penguins and the landscape with the ice and the glaciers. I'm not going to say I'm very excited. I'm very curious about the Drake Passage. That's how you get from the tip of Argentina southwards towards the glaciers. And they said it's a horrible ride. Like everybody gets seasick. It's like a it's like a roller coaster. And so I kind of want to try it and see how well I do.
Okay.
All right.
No, seriously, I want to. Another thing about traveling and being in travel clubs and meeting more people that travel, I kind of want to travel off the beaten path, not just going to Jamaica or Mexico, go to places that people usually don't think about as far as a vacation or visiting.
I mean, one thing, go ahead, Michael, sorry.
No, I go finish. I was about to change the subject, so go ahead and say what you got to say.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, pretty much all the traveling I've done has been for work. But even then, I always make sure that whether I'm going to a place that's a typical tourist destination or not, I always want to go to not the touristy places. Right. So take me to the restaurant. Right. Take me to the restaurant that you go to, not that the people that are visiting go to, and so I can kind of get the appeal of wanting to go to the entire countries and continents even that are off the beaten path. You said that Antarctica is going to be the most expensive trip. How much more expensive is it to travel down there?
Most of the people who are talking about it say it's about $12,000.
Okay, so it's a lot of money, but it's not it's not unobtainable for somebody who's saving, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. You're not just going to drop that.
And that's another thing to think about too. Travel had become pretty inexpensive before the pandemic, and so once things return to normal, it's going to be very interesting to see. Can we get to South America for $200, or is it going to be $1,200 now?
Yeah, it's hard to say which way the pendulum is going to swing, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I just thought maybe we just throw a general question out here, for our last few minutes, because I, as you well know, I care about everybody, but I care about my people in a very special way. And since we have these two sisters here on the program, and Dan, you a brother, you can kick in. I'm asking you too. What are we going to do?
He's light-skinned.
He's light-skinned. Did your wife say, no, he ain't? Did you just say, no, you ain't? I'm very interested in moving my people forward. The news cycle ain't what it was a little while ago. Some protesting still going on. A lot of killing still happening. Is no end in sight. What are we going to do? Vote? Is that it?
I'm a fan of peaceful protests. And I feel like we have made progress. People are listening. Things are happening. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for the protest, I don't think abolishing the Confederate flag would have happened, because we did have protests here in Mississippi as well. I do know that some people feel like sometimes you have to be radical to get attention, hence the burning of buildings and what have you. Where that may be somebody else's way, that's not my way. But I am all for the peaceful protests. I'm for writing letters. I'm for calling people out on social media. I'm all for that. And I think that we have the world's attention right now. So we need to proceed with caution while we have the opportunity to make things happen for our people.
I like that. Dr. Shan, what would you like to speak on it?
I think, of course, we still have a long way to go. Of course, vote, but sometimes radical action, and I'm not saying killing people, but maybe being a little more extreme than peaceful protest can get the job done as well. But I think we as a people, a race of people, need to forge together and work together, and not. Sometimes we're a little divided in things. So I think, like she said, we have everyone's attention. Let's work together to help ourselves as well, and to continue to bring about change, because that's the only way it's going to happen. And I will comment on this time, protests they did. It felt a little different. We've seen a lot of things change, but it is going to take other races. It's going to take white people also to take a stand as well.
And all interested parties,
like us, involving that. I do, and I've seen a lot of that, and I say, wow, way to go. We need more of this.
Did anybody? And if you didn't, I'll just drop it. But I saw an interview recently. Don Lemon interviewed, I believe his name is John McWhorter. He's I want to say he's a linguist, but I'm not certain about that. I know he's a professor of something. But they were discussing this, and Spiffy and I were talking about it also, about this was actually not apologetic, but he was like sympathetic in a strange way to the position that white people have been rendered, have been put in by all this chaos. And I didn't know exactly how to feel, because I'm like, on the one hand, I could see how an adult white male in this day and age is getting told to shut up every time he puts his finger up. Nobody wants to hear what the adult white male has to say about nothing right now. And instead of trying to unify in the process, they may feel like, listen, I'm if I do, if I don't, somebody gonna hate me. I'll just sit this one out, And I hate to think of it that way, but I don't know. I guess.
I mean, contrary to everybody's comments otherwise, I am an adult white male, and the only times people have ever told me to shut up was when I wasn't respecting the views of the people that had actually experienced what was being talked about.
Okay.
So I feel like if you listen and you listen to learn, not listen to respond, then that's not really a concern. When I hear white people complaining about being told to shut up about racial issues, it's usually right after they said something racist. So, you know, why can't I tell them to pull their pants up or something like that, you know? And so we talked about the Lemon thing, but I haven't watched it yet. If you remember, send me the link. And if I remember,
right, it's I'm having a sympathetic moment. But you know what?
I have no sympathy for my people. None. Huh? I said I have no sympathy for my people. None.
Oh, I'm all out with that one.
I'm all out of the sympathy for the whites.
I mean, by and large, I am too. If you don't know by now, it's because you don't want to know. Really, you're just being willfully ignorant at this point.
So before we go, I've been trying to remember to ask this question of all of our guests, but I've been bad about it. But it segues perfectly. What's on your Black Lives Matter playlist? If you were to make a Black Lives Matter, or my wife calls it a resistance playlist, what songs would you listen to?
Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? There's one, you may not remember this one. It was from a soundtrack from the Panther movie years ago. It was a bunch of artists, Mary J. Blige, Freedom. That would be one. I don't know if you remember that.
I believe so.
It was the Black Panther movie back maybe 90s, but the soundtrack was good, and that was one of the songs on the soundtrack, Freedom. You had In Vogue, Mary J., TLC. You had a whole bunch of artists singing on that one. So,
okay, Shanta with the playlist. You got any to add, Nikki? While she's thinking about
pretty much anything by Jay-Z and Nas would fit in right along with her playlist.
Okay.
We only got a few minutes left. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say my playlist is a little different. I have a mix of all types of music because I'm on the highway a lot. But specifically, something that's uplifting and upbeat and conscious. I think pretty much anything by Nas or Jay-Z could be added to her list, and Kendrick Lamar as well.
So real quick, I know we're out of time, but I always make sure we open up to music questions. If either anybody in the comments or either of you have any music questions for me, or especially Michael, whose catalog is so prestigious.
And let me say, the only thing I put on when I need to listen to the righteous music, all I've been listening to is that Mos Def track. That my Umi says, shine your light on the world. That song. I want black people to be free, to be man. I'll play that 10 times in a row, man. And it make me feel better about everything. So I'll just say that. Thank you, Mos Def.
Is he going by Mos Def again, or does he was yesterday? I don't know.
I don't care. It seems like whatever he does is cool. I just like him.
Yeah. Any music questions from our panelists? No. Okay. Hey, I didn't see any in the comments this week. We don't have to talk about music every week. Real quick, if we have time, there was a comment here, and I was looking.
I have a question for Michael. What demographic are you in? Are you millennial? Are you Gen X? Are you Gen Y?
I'm 51 years old. So you tell me where that puts me.
Gen X, I believe.
Gen X, yeah. He's Gen X.
Why? Do I have some accompanying traits?
It's just the age range. You're Gen X.
What's the context of the question?
I'm a granddad, I think is what they're trying to say.
Everybody else's age, but he is.
You were just being nosy. You had no other reason. Okay, that's fine. We accept those type of questions here. We accept, yeah.
Open up to know better. That's all.
So There was a question in the comments, but it didn't have the name of the drug. Allison was asking if you knew anything about remdesivir. Am I saying it wrong? Remdesivir.
Remdesivir. That is something that doctors within the last 2 weeks to 3 weeks have had very good results with. Patients are responding very well. And specifically, I think it works on the mechanism by which the thickened or coagulated blood affects the organs. And so they are having very good results with it. It's not a cure-all or anything like that, but as doctors are introducing it into their medical soup, per se, there are very good results.
Anybody else have anything they want to ask or talk about before I talk about next week? Any of our guests want to add anything? Anything you want to make sure you get out there before we close out?
People got things to do. Dan, will you wrap it up?
Michael's dinner is ready. Dr. Shanta, we got Nickie's nonprofit. Do you have a nonprofit or website you want to promote?
No nonprofit, but I do have a small business, Smart Wiz Solutions, where I offer educational services and education consulting for people who are trying to get a PhD or an EDD. So I assist people with their dissertations.
Okay, that's a great. If you have a chance, put the link to that in the comments after the video is finished. I'm sure that'll be a resource for a lot of people. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Nikki? You had a thinking face when I first asked you.
I just want people, in regards to our children and our children returning back to school and, just the whole pandemic, to try to practice a little common sense and also a little understanding and a lot more patience. Because like I said, medical professionals, they are out here trying their best. Mm-hmm. So all of us working together, we'll get through this with our kids, with our teachers, with our families, with our neighbors, just a little bit of patience and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So next week. Right. Oh, go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you.
That's all. I just listen to what she had to say. I'm just feeling it. Doctors, we so appreciate y'all coming on and blessing us on this show. It's
thanks for having us.
Pleasure.
I mean, fun.
I'm glad you had fun, and I just appreciate the fact that I just appreciate what you've chosen to do with your lives. Really, y'all could have done anything in the world you wanted to, but you were in a position. You serve in the highest order, and I can tell. I haven't met either of you, but the feeling I get is one of integrity in your work. I really feel like I feel honored that we got to spend this time with you guys. I guess that's what I really mean to say.
Well,
that you have my utmost respect and my entire appreciation.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Michael, do you feel honored to spend time with me? Because, and I'm segueing.
You're gonna make me cry, man. If I gotta, you're gonna put me back through the ringer on this, man.
So
we almost lost you.
I'm segueing because next week, Tuesday, is my birthday. And how I want to celebrate my birthday is with everybody here, our viewers and our guests and Michael. So for our episode next Tuesday, we're going to celebrate my birthday. And if Michael wants to get emotional, the fact that I made it to another birthday. And so I want everybody to come and hang out with us next week. Just be in the comments. I've asked all of our guests to come back and pop in for a bit. I don't know if any of them will. The invitation is extended to Dr. Nikki and Dr. Shanta as well. but it'll mostly just be Michael and I talking, either as we do or interviewing each other. But that's how I want to spend my birthday. So if for anybody that cares just a little bit about me, please come back next week and hang out with us and spend my birthday with me and Michael. And that's next week's episode. Who knows what we'll talk about? We're not setting a topic, so it'll be whatever's on. Yeah. That's all I had to say. I would
gizzards and feet. No good parts of the chicken. Gizzards. Feet.
Michael, is that the cat I hear in the background?
I said that show is going to be nothing but gizzards and feet.
Is it your cat I'm hearing crying in the background?
Oh, yeah.
Show us the cat. Let's see the cat.
No, I'm not going near that cat.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll get the cat to wear a birthday hat next week. So,
man. Do you know anything about cats? They don't care what you want.
I had a cat before.
They do whatever they please. She's trying to get in the closet. How do you get in the closet without thumbs?
That's why I'm a selfish person.
They'll figure out a way.
Yeah, they certainly will.
So,
okay, I guess let's call it.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for viewing. Thank you so much, Dr. Nickie, Dr. Shanta.
Yes, thank you so much once again. We hope we can call on you sometime in the distant future. Should we need your guidance?
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to come back.
Fantastic.
We will see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Take care, you guys.